Excellent. Welcome, everybody. So excited to see you all here today. Just a message, we are recording. I am going to share my slides and do a quick promo of some upcoming items for MCHRI. Thank you again for being here. My name is Grant Wells. I'm Director of Innovation and Development from the Maternal and Child Health Research Institute here at Stanford. Today's seminar will focus on the Trial Innovation Network and what you need to know about it and how it can benefit your research. We have two wonderful speakers, Maya Berdichevsky, who's the TIN Network Hub Liaison Manager as part of our CTSA, and then a professor of anesthesiology, perioperative, and pain medicine, Dr. Laura Simons. But before we begin, just want to thank our education committee. They really help us design these seminars and put them on, and we can't do this work without them. Our next seminar is focused on observational designs for pediatric related studies, featuring Manisha Desai, who's the director of the QSU or the Quantitative Sciences Unit here at Stanford, and one of our very exciting notable researchers, Michelle Auden, in the bio informatics group, I believe. So take note of that. Alan Schroeder will be moderating that, so we'll have a really great opportunity for time to ask questions. And then another one that's coming up is focusing on your placentation and bioage and kind of unraveling the connections that relate to those different connections, featuring Dr. Catherine Bianco, who's one of our MFMs here. But without further ado, I'm so thankful for Maya and Laura being here today. Very excited for their presentation. This is a really wonderful resource we have as part of our CTSA that's housed here at Stanford. We certainly hope you can ask a lot of questions today and see if this is something that you can apply to your research area. So I will pass the baton to Maya.
Okay, thanks, Grant. Didn't realize I was muted for a second. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for inviting us today to talk about the Trial Innovation Network. Today's talk will have two parts. First, I will introduce the TIN and its resources, and then Dr. Simons will share her experience of working with a TIN, and then we should have plenty of time for questions as well. The idea behind this network is to provide support for studies to be more robust, more collaborative across research sites, and with the ability to study all the relevant populations. When a study is limited to Stanford, it may not have enough potential participants from your population of interest. Collaboration with colleagues from other research sites may seem like too much of a responsibility to take on, or you may not be sure how to get started, how to budget, or how to find enough sites if you're looking for a lot of sites. You may be planning to use decentralized elements to expand the range and reach of your study, such as remote data collection or telehealth visits. If any of those sound familiar or may become relevant in the near future, then the Trial Innovation Network is here to help you think, design, and implement these types of studies. The network is a collaborative initiative within the CTSA program. It supports multi-center and decentralized research studies. And for the purposes of TIN support, multi-center means a study that just takes place in more than one location. So it's a very generous definition of multi-center. A key takeaway for their support is that it includes no cost for consultations, recommendations, and many, many provided resources. The funding source is not important, including industry, as long as it is an investigator-initiated research, and any clinical research, not necessarily a clinical trial, The funding source makes no difference for their support. The TIN is composed of 3 types of key organizational partners. The first are the Trial Innovation Centers, or TICs. There are 2 of those, and those are the lateral circles, or horizontal. One out of Vanderbilt and one out of Johns Hopkins, with their net of collaborators that share in their TIC award. The second is the Recruitment Innovation Center, also under Vanderbilt and their collaborators. That's the bottom circle. And the third TIN component is the individual CTSA institutions. Access to the TIN is access to expert guidance from the experienced researchers of the TICs and the RIC, to their established and tested infrastructure and tools, to the entire CTSA network and their local affiliates, which is very important to call out, and to the large and diverse populations that they represent. Now, looking a little bit closer at, or more in depth at the TICs and the RIC, the TICs are innovation centers that are focused on the operational excellence, innovation, as their name suggests, and quality by design. They get involved at the initial consultation for all elements that are not related to recruitment. Examples include budget development, study design, grant enhancement language, and related letters of support. Post-award, and as has been agreed upon and budgeted for at the pre-submission stage, the TIC will provide the ongoing operational support, including single IRB, clinical and data coordination. That happens in some cases, not all of them. The Recruitment Innovation Center is evidence-based center for recruitment and retention strategies and resources. Their support is mostly for standalone recruitment-related resources, both pre-proposal and post-award. These recruitment-related resources, which I will talk a little bit about more in a future slide, but just wanted to call out that they also include consultation and provision of Vanderbilt-developed data capture solution, so of the REDCap family sorts. Just a little bit more about our Stanford Hub. Dr. Ruth O'Hara is the principal investigator of our CTSA award. Dr. Cam Mahaffey is the medical director of the TIN at our hub, and I'm the point of contact. And as you can see, we are a larger group than that, which also includes Catherine Connors from the Participant Engagement Program and Peg Sao. And we collaborate with contacts at the IRB and OSR as needed as well. Since its inception in 2017, the TIN has developed a system of support for investigators that includes consultations for study design and implementation, operational tools, and multi-center-based processes to accelerate and support trial implementation. It created resources to aid investigators across the spectrum of clinical research activities. Some resources are worth calling out specifically, and I will briefly mention those in the following slides. EOI, or expression of interest. This is a mechanism that was created to connect with all CTSA hubs with a single email request to gauge interest and capabilities to participate as a site in a multi-center study. The way it works is an investigator with a study proposal reaches out to the TIN, which then connects them to the network. Depending on how developed the protocol is and on how much time they have before the grant is due, these 4 elements can be included. So first and foremost, we have the actual request to identify a potentially interested investigator at each site. There's the EHR cohort assessment. That's very common too. Then it's exactly what it sounds like. A study-specific EHR cohort search is developed by the RIC based on the project's inclusion and exclusion criteria. And then the CTSA sites are asked to run that search in their EMR to determine the volume of potential participants, and then share back cohort counts, including demographic breakdown. Some level of detail of the protocol is shared, usually a summary, a synopsis of some kind. Sometimes there's a tentative schedule of events, sometimes not, again, depending on the level of development. Sometimes you will also receive some information about the budget to assess feasibility. I have seen this mechanism in action many, many times, and it is absolutely genius. Stanford has been identified as a site in many TIN studies through this mechanism. And just in case you're concerned, all of the TIN CTSA hubs have signed a confidentiality agreement. So sharing this level of information within the EOI process is absolutely okay. Other highlighted services that I wanted to call out is the Community Engagement Studio. This is a study-specific consultative studio session that the RIC can put together for researchers who would like to get input on their project from patients, caregivers, community members, and other non-researcher stakeholders. The network, and I mentioned this previously, can sometimes assign single IRB support as well. When a single IRB is involved, there will be cost recovery for both the review and the coordination, so it's important to remember that. The TIN website has a toolbox with access to many operational tools that were developed by TIN innovation centers and any other institutions that are willing to share their resources. These currently include information, guidelines, and templates for disseminating study findings, social media outreach, recruitment and retention material, and content design, working with a single IRB, and many more tools that are very relevant to the day-to-day operations and planning of a study. And I only just added this link to the trial innovation flyers that describes a multitude of TIN developed apps, platforms, and other services. It's a new feature in their website, so I just added it yesterday. Okay, there are two ways to engage with a TIN. There's the incoming, where we match a Stanford investigator with multi-site studies that are coming from other sites. That's sort of through the EOI process. And the outgoing, where a Stanford investigator initiates that decentralized or multi-site proposal and submits it to the TIN. We are participating as a site in many TIN studies that come out of other institutions. We are not yet fully utilizing the TIN for Stanford proposals. This is a valuable resource for both experienced and junior faculty, and very, very underutilized. So how to utilize it, how to get started on this outgoing process? It's pretty simple. An investigator has an idea for a protocol, and it looks like Stanford alone may not be enough, or there are decentralized elements to the protocol. Even at this early stage, you can reach out to me to discuss if this is appropriate to submit to the TIN. The earlier the TIN gets involved, the more flexibility and potential for potential right, for utilization of the variety of TIN resources, and the more the PI can get out of it. But a late involvement could still be beneficial, so better late than never certainly applies here. These are some additional resources that I did want to call out, even though they're not specifically for the proposal. The TIN provides a platform for presentations for collaboration webinars. There are usually at least 1 to 2 a month, and they cover many interesting and relevant topics. Some recent topics, as you can see here, included decentralized trial design, enhancing research operations with AI, the good, the shortcomings, and lessons learned, which was just an amazing talk, and how to prevent fraudulent participation with online recruitment. The one you see on the right is the upcoming webinar, which also looks fascinating. So, and this is available to everyone. It's linked through here. It's linked through here. Yeah. And a couple more highlights out of the Johns Hopkins TIC. The DIDAC Symposium series brings together statisticians and clinical trial operations experts to dive into a variety of topics. There have been 3 so far. There's an upcoming one in April. There are recordings of everything, also of the collaboration webinars, by the way. These usually are 4-hour sessions that are really interesting. And then the training program for multi-center clinical trial management is one of the most recent additions to the TIN. It is aimed at PI, PM dyads, transitioning from managing trials at a single site to leading an interventional multi-center clinical trial. The training program was created based on input that was collected from all CTSAs, including Stanford. Enrollment for the second round just closed last week. Ideal candidates are those that are in early phase of leading an interventional multi-center trial, who have recently received funding or who anticipate an award concurrent with the course dates. For something to keep in mind for the next time, timing is really important to just be in that award perfect time with the course class and dates. But this is also something very exciting. These are just some metrics about what the network has done recently. On the left, this is a screen capture from a presentation given at the end of last year. So the numbers are slightly higher now. On the right, this is a current breakdown of the types of resources that they provide. The most popular resources requested are study planning, single IRB, and recruitment and retention planning. You can also see recruitment material, EOI, EHR-based cohort resources are also popular, as well as the community engagement studio. Top therapeutic areas of the studies that they have supported include cardiovascular disease, neurology, infectious diseases, and pediatric disciplines. This screen capture, again, on the left is from last year. This year, pulmonary has been added just on top of oncology. But you can see the metrics here. On the right, you can see that the proposals vary with the number of sites per proposal, and it runs the gamut. But most proposals are in under 10 and even under 5 sites, even though they have quite a few of over 50 as well. And because we're all a little competitive here to some degree, I wanted to add this slide, which is a breakdown of how many proposals by CTSA institution. 7% submitted 20 and over proposals. We are at the mid to low end of the second group, 10 to 19 proposals. Not too bad, but we are certainly not making enough use of this amazing resource. Okay, finally, I just wanted to share some testimonials from Professor Laura Simons and her lab manager, Jeremy Giberson, who I've connected with a TIN for 2 proposals. Dr. Simons, as you know, is here with us today to share some of her experiences and answer any questions that you may have. So Laura, to you.
All right, thank you. So I'm delighted to be here today to talk to you a little bit about my experience working with the tin. And I'm not going to have a lot to present. It's more informal discussion, but I'd love to hear questions that people have. Feel free to put things in the chat. But uh, interestingly, how it all kind of started for me was with a project that we had, which was what we considered kind of a decentralized observational study. So it was remotely recruitment for young people ages 14 to 24 with chronic pain. And we had really ambitious recruitment numbers that we wanted for the project, a total of 900 young people over the course of this study. And we knew that our traditional recruitment method of going into our chronic pain clinic and asking people to be in the study was not going to be sufficient. And so we had actually reached out to Maya to talk a little bit about some of the internal resources here, like RPEP, that allow you to reach out through medical charts and things like that, which is another kind of wonderful talk probably on some of those resources. And she told us about the TIN, which was something that would allow us to recruit more nationally and broadly, which was a keen interest as well for this study. So in this particular context, we were pretty last minute in kind of putting together our request and meeting with them, but I think due to Maya's kind of connection and just maybe because they're not getting as much activity as they ideally could be, they were able to meet with us and give us some at least initial consultation and letters of support that actually went into the grant application that said, like, we've started a conversation, we're going to continue to be consultative and supportive. So in particular, one of the things that was really tremendous was they gave us some guidance on the recruitment and retention plan. And I can tell you before that, this is the track pain study, before meeting with them, our recruitment and retention plan was typically about a half a page to a page long in how we outlined what we were going to do for recruitment in all of our previous projects and grants. After their consultation, we had a 9-page document that included enrollment projections, visual displays and figures, tables with barriers, anticipated barriers, and plans for resolution, figures that demonstrated the different ways we were going to outreach in all the resources. So things like the Stanford Research Registry and the national registries that are available, as well as a number of other resources. So it really kind of was able to provide this sort of really comprehensive recruitment approach that really showed and demonstrated to the reviewers that we knew what we were doing and that we could hit these very ambitious enrollment numbers. And I'm actually really thrilled to say that it's working. So we actually got the grant on the first submission. I can't say it was just because of the recruitment plan, but I don't think it hurt. And we have been enrolling patients for the past year, and we're on track to meet our recruitment goals. And for the first phase of this is a 2-phase milestone-driven project. In 2 years is the first phase. Within 1 year, a year and about 3 months, we need to recruit 500 young people, and we're on track to meet that goal by the end of June, which is, well, to meet 80% of that goal of 400 young people. So we're really thrilled with that. The second resource that we used on the track pain study after we secured the money was the community engagement studio. So something that we had prioritized as part of the project was patient engagement throughout, and we had patient partner consultants on the project to help with designing the project as well as ongoing consultation on study measure selection, recruitment, advertising, website development, study video, etc. But the Community Engagement Studio was a unique resource that was absolutely free. That we told them essentially the scope of what we wanted, the cohort that we wanted, which was young people with lived experience of pain. And they were able to assemble this community engagement studio. They facilitated the session. We were able to, myself and a couple of our team members were able to tune in and kind of listen and chime in a bit. But for the most part, we kind of sat back and allowed the engagement studio to proceed. And it was really informative. This one session, things that came up were this is a digital, like wearable study using Apple Watch data and self-reports. So some young people talked about kind of concerns about data privacy and et cetera, which was something that when we went to actually launch it, we made sure that was built into our frequently asked questions, and we kind of highlighted provisions that we had in place for data safety. And we got this really beautiful 8-page report after the Community Engagement Studio that outlined the discussion as well as potential recommendations that we could take forward in the launch of the study. And what's been really great is we've had ongoing recruitment support. So we've actually met with the RIC twice since we've launched the study regarding how recruitment is going and creative ideas that they could kind of give us in order to facilitate more successful recruitment. So it's been an ongoing partnership, which has been really incredible. I don't know if I should launch into the second project. It doesn't look like there's any questions in the chat, so maybe I'll just talk about what we did with Get Smart. So having this incredibly wonderful experience from Track Pain, which was an observational, decentralized, nationwide recruitment study with ambitious numbers, we came to the tin for our next project, which was a multi-site clinical trial. So Get Smart involves 6 sites across the U.S., 6 different children's hospitals, and is a behavioral intervention for young people with chronic pain. So we were able to reach out to them and engage them early to again get their feedback and input on our recruitment and retention plan. So we had this template that now we were building from. I think the one for Get Smart was like maybe 12 pages long because it was this multi-site clinical trial. So it was even more in-depth, but just really kind of able to outline that. And then actually because we were kind of earlier in the process, we were able to give them a draft of our RP and get their feedback and input on the draft that we had. We also presented to their team, and there was probably 10 different folks from the TIN that came to the meeting with different levels of expertise, which was really wonderful. It was almost like getting a pre-NIH review, and we went over the design of the study as well as our milestones. This was another milestone-driven grant, which for those of you in the NIH world are probably aware that this is becoming more common, these sort of milestone-driven funding announcements. So this was one where it was a UG3 UH3, so 1 year planning trial and then 5 year clinical trial. So they were able to give us really pointed and helpful feedback on the way that we've outlined the milestones, define them, and ways that we could revise them. And all the way through to input on our data analysis approach and safety monitoring and fidelity of treatment delivery across the sites. So it was super helpful and probably things that reviewers would have identified in the review. And we actually scored really well on the application. We're waiting to see if it will be put forward for funding. But we're excited to hopefully be able to launch that and have ongoing support and consultation from the TIN. And it reminded me, as you were talking, Maya, that we need to talk to them about the single IRB because we had looked at an external single IRB as a possibility, but we should talk more with Vanderbilt to see if that is a good option for this project because we do need an SIRB, and as we all know, Stanford isn't one that oversees others, so we have to look for other options. So those were some of my experiences, but I'm happy to like take questions or reflections or thoughts.
Thanks so much, Laura. Thanks so much, Maya. So grateful for your time today. Um, I think maybe Maya, we had mentioned at the start of this that not a lot of Stanford investigators are using this resource, and it just sounds amazing. It sounds like something that really a lot of our research teams here can take advantage of. What do you think are some really great ways to get started for those that say, I don't really know how to how to approach, should they set up a time with you? What do you think the best way to kind of get connected with you first is?
Yeah, just email me. It's yeah, that's sort of my next slide was uh a return for the previous slide. Just email me and we can figure it out. Based on the stage of the study, we look at what internal resources there are within Stanford that maybe you don't know about and I can connect you with. And then we look to the TIM. So yeah, that's very just that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say that Maya's been a great connector for a lot of the resources. And I mean, I can't emphasize enough that these are free. These are kind of like baked into what we have at our disposal here at Stanford, and has just been incredible. And I feel like, how did we do this before? Because especially thinking about even just the internal resources of like RPEP and ways to sort of get more outreach, particularly in the work that I do in pediatric chronic pain. It's such a specialized population. That, getting engaging those folks in research can be challenging, and we can't rely on just recruitment within our specialty care clinic. So how do we reach those young people more broadly? How do we engage them in research? And it's, from things like that, and as well as like community fairs and that the research team goes to. So there's so many things beyond even 10 that are just that Maya knows about that can amplify and help support the success of our work.
Awesome. Here's another great question. Um, can you look at interventional studies as well as kind of hospital focused or highly specific patient population recruitment as it relates to the 10? Is that something, or is it more specifically geared for observational studies, Maya?
No, it's for any type of research. It started with they were targeting interventional clinical trials in the beginning, and then they expanded to every kind of clinical research. So, and they support rare diseases, they support anything. They're looking for any challenge.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I don't see any other questions in the chat, but anyone who has one, feel free to come off mute. Okay. Well, this has been incredibly valuable. We are recording this and we'll post it on our website as well as on our YouTube channel. Please feel free to send it to anyone who may have missed this session. And just thank you again to Laura and Maya just for your time and the effort you put in. Um, and as Maya said, please get in contact with her. Her email's right there. And we hope that the tin can really be a valuable resource for you as you design your projects. Hope everybody has a great rest of the day and take care.
Thank you. Bye.